episode 118 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hellman.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
And this is Nerds at Large 2.0. We are in our new studio space. Me and Jeff have moved into our new house, and I am so happy. Look at this table. Look at how fancy and professional it looks. Look at the, right now, lack of decorations behind us, but that will change. That will certainly change. I'm still deciding like how exactly I want to do this with the camera and everything. We have kind of a closer up shot right now, but whenever we have Jacob or other people on, it might be further out. So there will be things back here for you to see eventually, but right now it's just green. Just green. Jeff.
Some white.
Yeah, with some light art. How excited are you about all of this?
Pretty excited.
Yeah. I think it's going to change a lot. Mm-hmm. I think, as I've said multiple podcasts in a row, please go check out twitch.tv/nerds@large-gaming because I do believe we're going to be able to do a lot more streaming now that we have this permanent setup. It's a permanent room in our house that's always ready to go. I think we're going to try to this Tuesday, November the 12th, my birthday. Hey, I didn't
birthday stream.
Honest to God, didn't even realize that. It's a we might do a birthday stream for me where we let loose the goose, Untitled Goose Game, right here at this table. I'm excited.
And also, next Friday,
yes,
is the release of a very awesome game. Pokemon Sword and Shield. I guess it's 2 games.
Jeff, have you played that game yet? You don't know it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume.
What if there's like a lot of racist stuff in it?
I'm
just saying, are you ready to put
we'll find out on stream.
Are you ready to put your flag down and say this is a great game? And it'll be like, wow, guys, I didn't know that Jeff was a racist. Damn.
No, but we don't know exact time for any of these streams yet, but we are planning to start our Pokemon Shield Nuzlocke next Friday, the day it releases.
Yee boy. Yep, it's going to be a Nuzlocke. We are going to pick Grookey because, whatever. It's our Nuzlocke. We can do what we want, and Grookey is the man, the homie.
Yeah, it will be interesting, though. I think we're going to have to be open to changing rules as we go, depending how the game is, because it will be a pretty new experience. I'll be playing it concurrently with my own file, so I don't know how things will go as far as how routes and everything work in the wild area. So I'm going to have to change things as we go.
Yeah, we'll see. We're not submitting this to any board for approval. It's our thing. We can do whatever the hell we want, as long as we're not just like BSing things and taking rules out left and right.
Oh, yeah.
We'll figure it out. It's going to be hard. We're going to make sure it's hard. Mm-hmm. Well, as hard as, who knows?
Yeah. So also, I think there are only like 10 routes and like about 5 caves and forests.
Wait.
And then there's the wild area, because the wild area takes a good chunk of the map.
So there's only 10 routes like outside of the wild area?
Yeah, so we have to see how the wild area goes. And
yeah, we should look at, well, unfortunately, we're going to be doing it like launch day. I was going to say we should look at how other people are doing Nuzlocks, but
yeah.
We'll just have to figure it out. Play it by ear. I mean, there will be certain things that will, like permadeath will obviously be there, and we'll find some way to limit the Pokemon.
Well, good news, I will definitely be watching. I'll probably be watching this as the stuff goes along as well. Team 4-Star will surely do their Nuzlocke and kind of see what they're doing.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, that's twitch.tv/nerds@large-gaming. Get hype. But for right now, let's talk about games that are out now and that we have actually been playing ourselves with our hands and our eyes. And I'm pretty sure the only one that both of us have to talk about, unless there's something else about you. Oh, I guess there is Mr. Terry Bogard, but that'll be later. The Outer Worlds. Jeff, how much have you played since last week?
None.
Okay, you've played none, didn't
because we heard last Sunday. I've been pretty busy with the move and other stuff. So.
I knew you hadn't played much. I didn't know you hadn't played any.
I played absolutely none.
I haven't played it too terribly much more, so I probably won't be talking a whole lot about it. I finished the first area pretty much. Like I think I still had like 1 or 2 side quests that I might finish before I leave, or I might just go ahead and do it. But I at least finished the main quest line of that. And I'm not going to spoil anything about that. I'm not going to spoil that quest line, especially not like how it ended for me or anything in here. But I will say like I'm definitely enjoying the game, and I think the writing is definitely good. I mean, especially like the smaller writing, just talking to individual characters, like they've all felt unique and everything. As far as the actual plot of that first area, it kind of feels like a bummer. Like you described what happened to you, and it sounded like so much more interesting than what happened to me. Which, I mean, but that is something that these games have to juggle. Like you need to make everyone's playthrough interesting, even if they're vastly different. Like you shouldn't have the one that's like obviously way more interesting than the other. And that was kind of a bummer because like if I had not heard about you, like the way that the quest went for me is there was like basically two factions against each other. I chose a side, and then I went to the other faction, and they're like, "Oh, we don't like you. Why'd you do that?" And then literally like it was that one line of dialogue, and then everything else was exactly the same. Like every other, like nothing really changed fundamentally in the game.
Yeah, I won't say what exactly happened with me, but like stuff that actually influenced the world and people happened to me, and there are a bunch of different branching dialogue things that happen. Like the stuff that happened was based on what piece of dialogue I chose and how strong my social skills were in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a bummer because I have the complete opposite reaction. Like this whole first section absolutely did not like hook me into this game, because like if I compare this to Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3 Quest, this is like middle of the road, and I feel like this is supposed to be the first big choice to like pull you into the game. And when I did it, it just felt like, again, it was like a binary, like this, and I was like, all right. And I tried to talk to everyone. I was like, give me something interesting about this choice, and there was just kind of nothing. It was like, I did that. Cool. There's no like actual consequences in game or really anything to make me care that much. Like, and my companion was like, I really don't want you to do this, and I did it anyway, and then just nothing. She's like, okay, whatever.
Still gonna be in your crew. Still gonna be in your crew though.
Yeah, I mean, like she literally had no words about it. I'm like, all right, well, this is a little immersion breaking. Like so far from that first area, Outer Worlds doesn't really seem to be doing anything that much better than other Fallout games. Which is not to say it's a bad game. It's good so far. I mean, it is good writing, but definitely underwhelming first act for me, and I don't think that makes it better. I don't think it makes it like I don't think we should make an excuse for it just because yours was good, you know, because I still you need to like make people who make the other choice still feel like they're having a good time, which they failed to do for me.
See, Darby, you didn't go far enough in the other direction and just kill everyone.
I had no like option for that. I guess I could just run and start shooting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so underwhelming. I'm really hope that the next world that I go to, the next part of this, grabs me in. If it doesn't, I might end up bailing on this game. There's just Fallen Order's coming. I want to play After Party. I want to play Devil May Cry now that I'm here and have access to that with your Xbox.
Power of Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah. So it will be funny if you really enjoy this game a lot more than me, even though I'm the one that played all the Fallout games. But that's partially why I'm not loving this game, is because I've played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of games that are basically identical to this. So we'll see. And I might end up turning around on this completely.
But it's not a thing of, it doesn't seem like it's a thing of people who played Fallout don't like it and people who didn't like it.
No, not exactly. I'm just talking about me and you.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how it goes. I might end up being drawn into it, but as of right now, I'm not. Okay. Well, I guess other game that we have been playing this week is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. No surprise, anytime a new character comes out, me and Jeff are going to jump in there. And Mr. Terry Bogard came out. We got a nice, like, 40-minute nerd out sesh.
Closer to 50.
from Sakurai.
Yeah.
How did you enjoy the 40-minute nerd out sesh from Sakurai?
I thought it was good. I thought it was kind of fun as a little thing of, watch Sakurai nerd out and kind of learn some stuff about SNK and Fatal Fury and King of Fighters and all that, as someone who doesn't know that much. And for fans, I'm sure that it was just pure bliss.
Yeah.
Seeing this game director who's putting a character from a series you like in the game and just show all the love for it, whether it be from his knowledge of the history to Terry's moveset to the cameos and stuff on the stage and all that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they've set this up with they've started to do more of the. It's still weird, but I appreciate the weirdness of it. How it's like half a casual stream, half a like Nintendo Direct buttoned up thing, and like Sakurai has this like weird audience in front of him that like laughs awkwardly at his jokes. It's cool. It's a very weird presentation, but it's cool. Yeah. And I think very crucially, I think it was very, very wise, and it's like one of the first times I've ever seen them do that. Nintendo got ahead of this and said, hey, there's not going to be any new characters.
Oh, no.
Which was very, very smart.
Everyone would have hated Terry by default if they did not say that and people watched that whole thing.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a character announcement.
I'm just glad that someone at Nintendo had the forethought to say, like, hey,
yeah,
I'm glad we're doing this. This is great. But people are going to be bummed if they watched a 50-minute thing with no character.
Yeah.
And I feel that's not something they've done before. We've been saying over and over again, like, Sony, get ahead of it. If you know that everyone wants this announcement, it's not going to be there. Just, it'll be better for your public image if you just get ahead of it. And same thing here.
Yeah, though for Smash up to this point, like since Smash Ultimate, now it's probably like one or two examples where it happened. I think most of the things where you would think Smash would be at least had some kind of Smash announcement. Even if I think there was a maybe the January Direct or something, or some Direct early this year, after Joker was announced, it didn't really have much. They were just kind of, hey, this is kind of the stuff that's coming. It's coming in April, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Bye. So, I think this was the first time that they've actually had something, since Ultimate was announced, like, hey, this makes sense to have a character announcement. Oh, it's not. They're telling us. Cool. Yeah. And honestly, I thought the presentation was really cool. The only thing I would have probably cut out is him going through the classic mode for Terry. He went through the whole thing. It's like, well, especially it got shadow dropped. Like literally, Terry came out right after the presentation, and that's usually the first thing I do when these DLC characters come out.
Tim, for kind of funny, he said that like he dipped out of the presentation there because he's like, I don't want to see this. I want to just play it.
But yeah. And I think this is fun for the people who this presentation was fine, and they pretty much let you know exactly what it was. For people who were enjoyed the Ultimate Blowout last E3 when they were reveal all the characters. Now,
this is not for just casual people who play. So this is for people who are digesting everything, all the
and for the casual people who just want Terry's release date. Well, that's up on Twitter the moment it's announced on there. So.
And it was today, the day that it came out. So
Terry's out. We have played him.
Let's actually talk about playing Terry. What you think, Jeffrey?
I think he is great. I think Sakurai and his team did a great job of making him different from the rest of the cast and even different from the Street Fighter characters because he is from a fighting game. So... that makes you think, he might be just a little basic. No, Sakurai went into that fully took inspiration from a lot of different mechanics through the King of Fighter and Fatal Fury games and just put into his character. You can cancel into specials and all that.
Input commands
power up
to actually have more of an effect.
Actual super moves when you get to 100%. Or you lose a certain percentage of your HP if it's that mode. Mm-hmm. So do a lot of that, and
he has a back special.
He's the first character to have 5 default specials.
Yeah,
because he has a back special, which will take some getting used to, especially in. I feel like I had, and I don't know if you noticed this or were able to notice this, but it's a lot easier to pull off when it's 1v1 because Terry and the Street Fighter characters naturally face the opponent when it's 1v1. Mm-hmm. When in free-for-all you gotta purposely switch his side.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would wanted to do something, but I was facing the wrong way because I got to get a little used to Terry in 1v1 thing and not having to think about turning him.
That is interesting to have it like different in the different modes. Yeah. I think like this whole DLC pack has been so cool from the characters that actually are released are like really cool and from a bunch of varied spots or series, but also I just love that Sakurai is proving that he's not afraid to really play with the core gameplay concept of Smash. Whereas I feel like most characters before this, like, yeah, obviously everyone's unique, but like they all follow the same formula as far as like up air for recovery, this for this, like everyone just has like their own thing slotted into these already preconceived slots. But with this DLC pack, he really seems like he's very A-okay with having some, not that they're like super complex, but he's going out there. Like the hero having the like
downbeat with
like having like a drop down menu of randomized stuff. Like that's very different.
Oh yeah, I think I have all those moves, and with Joker with the Arsene thing to where you get a big power up once a meter goes up and your moves change. Yeah. Your specials change. And Banjo's the most simple. Even he has a unique thing with the Golden Feather side B.
Yeah, with the limited uses and everything.
Yeah, and everything, it just being so powerful.
And then Terry's like almost, I mean, maybe Hero's more crazy, but Terry's at least like on par with all of this with like, Terry is probably automatically the like highest skill ceiling thing, which is not even something we usually talk about with Smash characters at all.
Yeah.
But the fact that like if you have someone who really knows how to do those input commands, they could get a lot more value out of Terry.
I think they did a good job also making them simple. Sakurai did put in the what I assume is the inputs from the actual games, but then he put in an easier input for people who, not as used to those inputs, right? Which is
like us.
Good. Yeah, and even when we were playing yesterday, I was able to do Buster Wolf a couple times.
Yeah, I'm sure that feels good.
Yeah.
I just feel like there was definitely probably once upon a time none of this would have happened because it would have been like, all right, well, we have to keep Smash simple enough. Like we don't want people to be like playing this and not understand what this character does. Whereas I feel like with all the other previous Smash characters, you can more or less pick it up and figure it out just by knowing how to play one character. You kind of know how to play all of them, like not to an expert degree, but you at least know what to do. I think they're okay now where like I think if I handed Hero to my sister, or I just use her as someone who plays video games but doesn't really play Smash that much or whatever, I think she would be confused. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying they're willing to like have some characters that go more out.
I think what's also good about Terry is it has that, but even his basic moveset is good.
It works in both ways. It can be, you can pick it up and go, but you can also get more out there.
And just obviously Sakurai's love for SNK definitely shows that the stage is really, that came with Terry is really awesome. Has a unique thing with the whole barrier at the sides that you got to, hit the person through depending on, and got to get to a high percentage and make it go through, or not as high percentage if you're closer to it.
It's almost like a new game mode. Yeah. I mean, it's not quite that much, but it takes some of the random chaos out of the Smash matches, which is cool for a change of pace. Like you have to be a higher percentage to get knocked out. Like you can't fall off the edge or have with a lot of the walking stages, the walls are so damn short that sometimes you can be 30%, and if someone hits you at the side, you're dead. Yeah. Whereas in this one, it is like you have to be a higher percentage, so it's a lot more about hitting each other, which is a cool thing I wouldn't have thought about, but it's
I also like it the fact it's just a straight flat stage. Above that, there's no falling off or anything, so that makes it different. Yeah, with the wall things like you said, it's a lot less knocking people off the side of very low percentages, which makes it a very unique thing. And will probably, as much as I like the other DLC stages, I think by far these are the best 4 stages that have been introduced to Ultimate. Not that there are many, but but I feel like this King of Fighters stage is the one that we're probably going to be picking the most, just because it is different and the gimmick is simple and
because it actually kind of changes the way you play in in a way.
not a very intrusive way. Like,
right.
Like I know you guys don't like the boss characters, for instance. That changes it. This is simple.
Yeah, more of a like you're still playing this base game, but it's a different, a little bit different parameters. And it like feels more like a fighting game. It would have been kind of weird if there was a bunch of like platforms and all this. I like this, just like the 2B. It's like a side scrolling. Yeah, thing, and then there's so many cameos in the background.
And 20 of them, and there's controversy with one not being there.
Yeah, which we can get into some, because I mean it's from Fatal Fury. I honest to God don't know a whole lot about her, so I mean obviously I'm not really invested in any of this.
Too lewd for children.
But I do, that was the whole thing. Is he basically said, the way Sakurai said it is like we couldn't put her in the game because Smash is.
Good little boys and girls.
For good little boys and girls of all ages. I take a little bit of umbrage with that.
Okay, but here's that was more of a translation thing for I was saying for that. In Japan, he was kind of more straightforward of it's because of the ratings board, which it is it. I understand it. I know they could have done some stuff to do it, but I also understand it from a point of why go for the headache of appeasing the ratings board for a background character, and and if you appease them, you might just upset the fans. Yeah, I mean, in a way, I feel like my not being there the way it did, I think is better than her being there to those. I feel like the more I would say put her there and covered her up more. But
I think I honest to God think outside of the ratings board. Like, if you threw that completely out of the way, if she was just standing in the background cheering on like everyone else, I don't think there would have been a controversy.
Oh, no. I agree.
I think Nintendo makes it a thing by doing this. I mean, the message board adds a different wrinkle into it.
No, the ratings board is it. Yeah. Like, even Sakurai said in an interview, he had to... Smash 4 was almost delayed because he had to keep on changing Palutena's design. So to them, Palutena was too lewd.
Well, okay, then we're not mad at Nintendo, but I think we could definitely both agree that like it's pretty buck wild that you can have like dudes with ripped chests and their nipples and everything else, but you can't have a girl with like a little bit of cleavage, but that's too much. I mean,
that's just a double standard. I mean, Twitch the same way.
Yeah, it's it's
so it's not a Japan thing.
Yeah. Male sexuality is allowed where female is not. That happens all the time. It's pretty obnoxious.
Yep. So,
but it does sound like I do think that they should have done a lot better with the English translation. I get it was a funny little line, but it was one of those things that I laughed at. But then, like as it went on, I'm like, that's a little messed up. The more I thought about it, the worse it got in my head. But,
yeah. Well, Darby, now we look forward. We agree that Terry's great. Everything's so far been great. We're looking at character 5 now, the last one of the past.
Tracer Goku combined in one. Like they fuse. I don't know what would their name be. Goku.
Goser?
Goser. Yes, this man knows. What you think?
Well. Do we agree there's a pretty high chance it could be at the Game Awards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, timing wise, like they said through February.
They said by February, and it sounds like they're maybe ahead of schedule. I have a feeling internally they were always planning on getting it done before February, but that was just to give them a little wiggle room.
Yeah.
It seemed like they got a little behind with Joker and Hero, but they caught back up quickly after Hero because, it was not till April we got Hero, and then it was July when we got Hero, but then it was like a month and a half later, Banjo, 2 months later.
Right, yeah, it sped up a lot. I mean, because I even think, even if it does take till February, I still think they can announce it at Game Awards, kind of like Joker, even if there's no like gameplay.
If I had to guess based on, obviously things could change, I could be way off base, but I think what their plan could be is announce at Game Awards, then it release during their usual January Direct.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
that sounds about right timing wise to me.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we thinking? I think previously me and you were very high on Resident Evil and Crash. One of those two being possibilities. There are definitely are there other ones you're leaning towards more than those two?
Doomslayer's got a lot of buzz, but that's one of those things where I feel like it just was in a popular fake rumor, and then it just stuck in people's heads.
Yeah, I don't know if there was ever any truth to that. Not that it's out there completely.
Honestly, with Terry Bogard, it's like whatever I thought could be. I don't know. It could. There are a lot of possibilities now, but part of me thinks it's either going to be Crash, or it's going to be a Capcom or a Bamco character. It's going to be in one of those 3 categories, I think, generally. Because Capcom has a whole bunch of characters and they're willing to play ball. Bamco has honestly, I feel like it has a good many characters that fit in Smash 2 as far as, how iconic some of their characters are and just makes sense. And they help work on the game, and they only have Pac-Man.
Yeah.
There are plenty of choices and all that. And I'm just going to go ahead and kill this. I know we've talked about it some. When people bring up characters where the pick is, that some people shoot picks down because it's not big enough for the Game Awards or it's not right for the Game Awards. I just thought about that more. I'm like, I think that's kind of BS because they're not going to plan the release schedule of what characters in order based on the Game Awards. It's going to be, this is the character.
Not the Game Awards, but like me and you were talking about before, I do think they end with a bang. I mean, I think I would be a little surprised if they had like 2 niche characters in a row with Terry and then some other kind of smaller niche character. I mean, because they are selling a fighters, they are selling this pack of characters. Like, I would be a little surprised if it was just another we are going back to the Neo Geo. If it's something like.
I don't think it's necessarily as niche as Terry, but I don't think it's gonna be like a big thing like Crash necessarily. Or
it doesn't have to be.
No. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, feels like everyone's always like with Smash things. Oh, it's got to be a big bang finale. That hasn't been the case. It ended with Kennen and Cinnamoroar for the main game. The DLC for 4 did not end with Cloud, which would have been the big bang. It ended with Corrin and Bayonetta, 2 niche things.
Yeah. This does feel a little different with the fact that they were hyping up this pass that you could buy far in advance before you knew any of them, and it's like we're gonna slowly reveal all of them. This feels like whereas Smash 4 was like nobody knew how many DLC characters it was gonna be and like when they were gonna be. It was just like this, and they mixed in like Mewtwo and Lucas. Like there was old returning characters that's not that exciting, and then holy shit, Cloud. It was kind of all over the place. So like this definitely feels like they are standing by these 5. It's like these aren't just like random things. It's like these are 5 characters you want. So I would honestly be surprised if it's not something big. Like I don't think it has to be Crash big, but if it's something Terry small, I would be super, super, super surprised.
So what I am thinking currently, going with my whole Capcom Bamco Crash thing, I think likely candidates, and odds are I'm going to be completely wrong. Do you like Crash, obviously? Yeah. Capcom, I think it's either going to, if it was Resident Evil or even Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
I think either of those are just as likely for different reasons. I think for Bamco, I'm honestly thinking potentially the most likely rep is a Dark Souls rep, Solaire. I'm starting to lean towards that.
I think that would be the hypest. That would get the biggest reaction out of people for sure.
Because now, and we knew at the time, obviously, when these fighters were being put together, that Dark Souls was coming to Switch, and obviously the series doesn't need to be the biggest connection to Nintendo. You just look at Joker and
Cloud.
Yeah, and we look at it, Dark Souls and From Software is one of the most influential developers of the last 10 plus years.
Oh yeah,
like easy.
Yeah.
So I think that fits in there as far as what they do. They could do the Nameless Undead or whatever it's called, or they could just do Solaire.
Yeah.
To put a name character, even though it already has an amiibo.
Yeah.
There are plenty of Bamco characters I'd rather have, but I feel like Dark Souls rep might be the most likely, maybe besides Hiachi.
Yeah, I would be.
But I do not think Hiachi would be in this pass because I don't think they're going to do 2 fighting game characters in a row.
Yeah. Just because we've seen Hiachi in things before. Like, yeah. I would be more excited about a Dark Souls rep.
What potentially may give credence to it being a Bamco rep is the fact that the Mii costumes that were announced with Terry were all fighting game Mii costumes, including some old ones that were in Smash 4 that hadn't been announced yet, like the Virtua Fighter one, Akira. Hiachi was missing. You would think that'd be in this pass, and a lot of times they like to do along with the DLC fighter ones that are connected to it.
Yeah.
So, and we haven't gotten Bamco ones. That's like Lloyd's still missing. So I think that gives credence that it could be a Bamco rep.
Yeah.
And what might hurt the Capcom thing is during Banjos, they announced Mega Man costumes.
Oh, right. So that might have been, if Capcom was if they were gonna be a Capcom character, it would have been later. Yeah. Potentially, all these rules can be broken.
Yeah. But, obviously none of these are rules or anything, but with Smash stuff, we can kind of just look at what they normally do and kind of get an idea.
But for people to be able to go back and you to look smart, what's your one that you predict?
I'm gonna go with Dark Souls.
I'm leaning towards that too, but I'm gonna make it interesting and go Crash still, which is what I had predicted before. But I do think Solaire, some Dark Souls rep.
But hey, if any of the 4 things I feel like are maybe the most likely are right, Dark Souls, Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, Crash,
they're all big deals.
That they all be hype.
Yeah, they'd all be obviously none of those are really particularly our thing, but just like Terry and some of the others, it's like we would recognize that's a big freaking deal. And you would have if a Dark Souls rep got announced, I would immediately be going to YouTube to see all their reaction videos. Because
I have a little, at least I have some relationship with Resident Evil, and we're about to get more.
Yeah,
when I play too, so.
And you played a little bit of Crash Team Racing, right? Did you play any of the Insane Trilogy too? I can't remember if you got.
Oh yeah, I played it. Good stuff. Okay, Darby, let's talk about something big that's happening this upcoming week. Since we kind of just did predictions.
More predictions.
Yep.
You can't stop the prediction train.
This Thursday, XO19 in London is happening. We had an XO 18 last year where they had, you could say, the biggest inside Xbox where they just kind of showed trailers for things, announced some stuff for Game Pass and all that.
Yeah.
So before we get into it, I'm going to read a tweet from Xbox regarding the Inside Xbox show.
Read that tweet.
XO 19 kicks off with an episode of Inside Xbox you won't want to miss. And they have a little checkmark things. 12 Xbox Game Studio titles, including new reveals and, I guess, PC games. Another one, new PC and console games revealed for Xbox Game Pass. And also, big Project xCloud news.
All right.
So
last year there wasn't a whole lot in the way of it wasn't like huge, big, holy shit, new AAA title, but it was a lot of me and you both came out of this I want Game Pass. There was a lot of
and we
cool
have
Game
it
Pass
now.
stuff.
Now we have it, and now everything they announced, we're like,
yeah. And there was the Obsidian was announced there.
Yes.
Right. And
it was leaked beforehand, but it was officially announced. And In Exile Entertainment was also announced last year. Is that correct?
Yeah. I remember there being 2. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. Going into this last year, the big thing was me when we did our live reaction, hoping for Fable 4.
That's every Xbox thing at this point.
Every Xbox thing. I'm not expecting it. I've started to come to terms with. I think that game is still a ways out, and it'll probably be next year. Is probably when that's going to be revealed.
Well, about the new game reveals apparently, so there's hope for it potentially, or honestly, what could be cool. Or maybe the more likely things that hasn't been announced yet is they will reveal it, if it's a real thing, at E3 this upcoming year and it being a launch title.
Yeah, that would be pretty hype.
And then you just get on PC.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
On Game Pass.
Absolutely. Yep. I would pay for it, but I don't even have to.
Yeah. So
the 12 Xbox Game Studios things,
I could have worked out and tried to figure out what they are, but I didn't feel like it.
Yeah, I have to imagine Xbox, some of these are going to be smaller studios that we might not even be 100% sure that they own, or smaller things, yeah. At least some of these 12, there might be a few big things, but it's hard to completely predict.
Well, even one of them could be something related to Outer Worlds for all we know.
Yeah.
So that's an Xbox.
And then there's what's the Ninja Theory game called?
Oh.
The multiplayer shooter.
I definitely had it on here. Let me try to look it up.
It's not the biggest deal. I would expect maybe that to be one of them.
I will be highly disappointed there's no Psychonauts.
Yeah.
I think I have reason, feel confident that Bleeding Edge is the name of the Ninja Theory game, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's also going to be playable there. But I think I have reason to be confident that Psychonauts will be there because it's supposed to come out this year, and got delayed. So
I'd be a little surprised if it was not.
Yeah.
Then that was their last big studio announcement. Yeah.
Yep. So expecting new trailer from Psychonauts probably.
Expecting anything as big as Halo Infinite?
Probably not. Unless Fable gets announced there. Be the closest thing. I mean, that's not as big, but that'd be big news.
Yeah.
A potential Fable announcement is about the biggest announcement I could think of happening.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that would come close to it.
No, a new Fable could be big enough to be the one more thing if they wanted a one more
new
thing.
Ori trailer?
Yeah, is that coming out in February or March?
February.
Yeah.
We have enough time to do it because it's early February.
I would count on that. I would definitely probably count on a new
Ori
Ori trailer. Don't really need a new Ori trailer.
No.
I just want that game, but I want more people to buy it. So
Battletoads will surely be there, and I can see them finally putting a release date on that game.
Okay.
It's also going to be playable.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it had a release date or not.
Let's see. Microsoft Flight Simulator will probably be there. That could be fun.
Yeah,
because it'll be on Game Pass and all that.
It's looks stupidly good graphics wise.
Oh yeah. I'm having trouble thinking.
Haven't people said that you could literally see a model of your house or something? People said it takes Google Maps almost, or it takes in GPS data and recreates it. So the game looks insane.
Yeah.
Obviously a flying simulator is not really my thing, but I mean it looks crazy.
Yep. Let's see what I'm trying to think of what other studios stuff could be there, but we're getting new Game Pass reveals. Something that's already been revealed is Yacht Club Games' new game Cyber Shadow is going to be on Game Pass. Let's see. Project Resistance is supposed to be there and playable. I wonder if they'll announce that potentially as a. Because it's supposed to be a kind of cheaper multiplayer
it's
thing.
kind of random, but I kind of hope Greedfall gets on Xbox Game Pass for PC because I wanted to play that game, but
true. Yeah, that'd be good.
That was kind of random, but
I mean, some of these things are random.
Yeah,
and that's the kind of game where depending if the developer doesn't feel like sales will go up more or anything, feel like getting word out there. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I've already seen it be on sale a few times. So.
Yeah. The Good Lives is apparently playable there, so hopefully we get more information about that.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other big announcement could happen, but
I expect it to be similar to XO18, where there's not a whole lot. You won't leave it with too many headlines, but more of just the general. Yeah, there's some good things. Yeah. I don't think either of us left that being like, "Oh my god!" But we were both pretty.
Excuse me. They announced Winnie the Pooh and Kingdom Hearts 3 last year.
Announcement of the year.
Exactly. No, but I'm looking forward to this. See what they have. Obviously, I'm excited for a potential Psychonauts trailer. Excited to see more Game Pass stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me those games that I don't have to pay for.
I agree. Anymore. Yeah, sadly, we will not be able to do any reactions to it because we'll be working. So if there is Fable, sadly, you won't get my live reaction. Maybe if it's one of those things, Fable does get announced, maybe I should just not watch the trailer and we should record a little reaction. We won't have the surprise factor, but at least
what I could do reaction. And it would give it away is send you a text, "Hey Dari, don't look on the internet." Give it away what it is, but at least you
I would know not to look.
Yeah, look on anything and not see anything related to it.
Yeah. We should definitely at least do that. If I don't think it's happening.
Okay. Well, let's just say right now, if that happens, and also a Psychonauts trailer gets announced,
both those,
then they'll see them come here,
that could just be one video.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's move on over to Sony
ponies.
What was the Easy Allies thing, corporate shakeups or whatever? That song.
Play the jingle, Darby.
Bad for business.
Let's have a listed judge from IGN. Sony is continuing his leadership shakeup ahead of the PS5 launch as Shuhei Yoshida steps down from his Worldwide Studios presidency to helm a new indie-focused venture. Meanwhile, Guerrilla Games co-founder and managing director Herman Holst is the new head of Worldwide Studios effective immediately. Yoshida switch and focused independent developers is part of a wider push by Sony to bring in fresh talent. His initiative will nurture external indie studios that PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan called the lifeblood of the industry. Speaking to GameIndustry.biz, Ryan said Yoshida will ensure the entire Sony SIE organization works together to better engage with independent developers through a culture of supporting and celebrating their contributions to PlayStation platforms.
So this is like 3 weeks in a row where every week we have some different Sony leadership changing news.
Yeah.
See that's happening constantly.
So we don't complain the shoe anymore. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, sucks. I mean, I guess about indie games we can complain the shit.
We can complain the holes, but it doesn't feel the same.
It's not a shoe. And I mean, what a step up for him. Like Guerrilla Games not too long ago was just the kind of forgotten Sony studio. Now suddenly they have a really successful game, and then he goes from
which will probably be a tentpole title for a potential PS5 launch.
Yeah, and then now Holst is head of Worldwide Studios immediately. I mean that's quite the step up for him. I mean this whole thing's been weird because obviously you looked at Sean Layden, the face of PlayStation, basically, the one that everyone knows the most, leaves completely unceremoniously just in a tweet, and he hasn't said a word. There was no, goodbye or anything.
I think he tweeted about Concrete Genie, and that's about it.
That's, the only thing, which I also, it's very adorable. It's almost like he's even though everything went to shit, I'm still going to support you.
My baby.
But then, the very next week, you had Gio Corsi leave.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was happy. I mean, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it was an actual what you would expect for someone leaving a company. He had this whole farewell thing, and Sony was, talking about his legacy there and all this other stuff. It was what you would expect. And then even this was kind of more public. I really want to know what the hell happened with Sean Layden.
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll ever know.
No, we'll probably get into Jason Schreier book in 10 years,
probably.
So yeah, I wonder how much part of this is she was I want to do indie stuff, and they're okay,
sure, you've been here enough. You deserve to do what you want to do.
Holst, you're up.
Okay.
It is also interesting they're going from someone from Japan and then going for a European person as their worldwide thing.
And then now aren't they kind of consolidating most of their stuff to America too, as far as the actual offices?
Yeah.
So that is interesting.
It looks like they are going potentially for a more global approach or doing things.
But then Jim Ryan is also from PlayStation Europe, and it seems he appointed Holst, or at least was a big part of that. So it might be. It might either be he's trying to make
Europe the hub,
Europe more of a thing, or it's just he knew Holst and he wanted to do this. But Easy Allies even brought up in the press release, Jim Ryan was saying, this is really good for Europe. Europeans will love this or whatever. That was definitely a part of what he was saying was with Europe. That's neither good or bad. It's just interesting. But it's, it does seem like they're consolidating more in America, but then Europe's probably. But I know PlayStation Europe has has long complained about kind of being the forgotten one in Sony's whole, and just how they do business. I think Jim Ryan's complained about that before, about how PlayStation Europe is just kind of the last to know about things and didn't have much say. So
yeah, there's definitely changes that, and I think having more of a global perspective might potentially be good for general.
Yeah. For them. I'm so interested to see Sony next gen.
Yeah, we won't have long. I mean, we probably got 3 months until we start seeing things in February.
Yeah.
If last gen is any indication,
you would have to imagine it has to be somewhat early next year if they're coming out next fall.
Yeah,
it seems like you kind of have to get on that. I don't know. I think we both and so many other people have a weird feeling just because PlayStation's just been so quiet. As far as their messaging the last kind of half of this gen, they silently do really well, but Xbox and Nintendo are both far more aggressive in pushing their things than Sony is. Will that hurt Sony at all going into the next gen, or is it like everyone right now has PS4s, so they'll all buy PS5s. Like, will it work that way?
I think it will work that way to a certain group of people, but I think Xbox strategy with Game Pass for our people who aren't completely tied to Sony's first parties might jump to Xbox.
Yeah.
Or get it on PC and then Microsoft wins either way.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty much what
it's kind of a thing of Nintendo, obviously, for the last however many years, pretty much since the GameCube or after the GameCube or whatever.
Yeah, at least
strategy has been different from the other two.
Yeah.
And Microsoft's plan is evolving to be at least different from Sony's, or to at least have something different from Sony added onto it.
They might all three just, I mean, like right now they're all three succeeding just in different ways and at different levels. Mm-hmm. But I could see some of that shake up next year. I mean, obviously the biggest thing is like how high can Xbox go? You know, makes what turns all this. And just if I'm Sony, I'm definitely hesitant, and like I'm not super stoked about having to reset the generations when you currently have over 100 million people with PS4s. It's like if I'm Sony, I'm not super excited about that, but that's how it works, at least in the moment.
Yep, but Sony's got
consoles aren't dead, Jeff.
Yep, Sony, they know they do or not, but I better hope they have something big, because based on what we've heard from Halo Infinite, it'll shake the Halo formula up, and that'll be big. You know, that'll be a big launch title.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Let's keep on that Sony pony train, Darby. Shall we?
Pony. We shall. I'll allow it.
Thank you, Darby. So generous.
Yeah.
We got some PlayStation Now news. Persona 5, Middle-earth, Shadow of War, and Hollow Knight have been added to PlayStation Now. Persona 5 and Shadow of War will only be available until February 4th, 2020.
And that's the catch, isn't it, Jeff?
That is indeed the catch. Because when you sent me this, I was like, oh shit. Then looked into it, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, because like on the surface, it seems like like both of those games, but obviously for us, especially, or all three of those games, I forgot about Hollow Knight, but especially for us, Persona 5, that sounds awesome for people to have on PlayStation Now. But just until February, like only 3 months. It took me like 6 months to beat Persona 5. It's like a 100+ hour RPG. That it kind of feels like they just want people to start playing it, get really far, and then it runs out. So then they're like, well, now I have to buy it because I've already sunk 50 hours into this game. Mm-hmm. So it's a little grimy.
At least as far as the general idea of Persona 5 and Middle-earth doing this, they kind of already said, hey, this is the thing we're doing based off the God of War.
But at least
Uncharted.
God of War and Uncharted, I can both finish in that amount of time very reasonably. Persona 5 is a little different. That's the biggest thing. Like, I wonder how
Sony doesn't see game length, okay?
Look at that. You if you want to beat it, if you're really committed, you'll put it.
Honestly, the thing I'm most surprised about this being on there in general, regardless of the time thing, is from Atlas' point of view, is the Royal is supposed to come out like this year, probably in the US, and if people play this, they're less likely to pick up that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, or maybe they'll be like, well, if I have to buy it anyway.
But then they got to start over.
I know. Maybe they would. I don't know what the philosophy is. I mean, no matter what, I mean, I think people playing Persona 5 or like talking about playing Persona 5 will help sell the Royal regardless. I mean, if their friends are. But it is weird to see like PlayStation starting to become more aggressive. Like they're obviously trying to make PS Now a Game Pass competitor more so. But they're getting arguably, I don't know, or bigger or as big of games as Xbox, at least like some more current, especially with God of War and Uncharted. But then they have this whole time frame that's not really as in present. I mean, games go off of Game Pass, but it's not like you have this 3-month window and that's it, you know?
Yeah. And for example, a game you mentioned earlier you're going to be playing on Game Pass on my Xbox is Devil May Cry 5, a game that came out this year. Mm-hmm. And not going off anytime soon as far as we know.
So do you think there's any chance that like Sony ends up dropping this whole like month exclusivity thing?
I feel like at some point they will do it for their titles, for their first party titles.
I don't see them doing Xbox's thing where like they all go onto it.
No. But I mean,
stay.
like God of War, a year and a half old game. When it's put on there, it will not leave. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. It might get there at some point, but not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because their games sell buttloads. But I can see them keeping this for like third parties, like it is this, because for some of them, they might be like, "Yo, we like the buzz of it, but we don't want to put it on here permanently, you know?
Yeah.
We like to make some of our own money."
And this also kind of feels like, I mean, look at these games. It's Persona 5, Shadow of War, and Hollow Knight. And Persona 5 and Shadow of the War are the ones that are going away. The ones that are made by like bigger companies, AAA, but like, all that stuff. The indie game is like, yeah, put it on there, please.
I might be wrong. I think Hollow Knight's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I think it's a case of, Sony wants to say, hey, we got Hollow Knight 2, or we have them, but I think Hollow Knight's like, yeah, let's put it on there, especially since we have the new game coming out.
Right. But basically what I'm getting at is like PlayStation now might be able to court games that otherwise wouldn't have been on its service because they're saying, hey, it's only going to be for a few months, and then people
if you want to do that,
Yeah. So
we're going to shuffle it.
Like,
wait your turn.
Like maybe they never would have gotten Shadow of War or P5 if they like Atlas would and Warner Brothers never would have agreed to this if it wasn't for.
What stressed me out about this is there will one day be a game that me and you, or me and or you, are really into, but they do that. It's like, well, we gotta kind of put things aside to play it.
It's like we'll be on this podcast and you'll say like, yeah, that game's about to go off. And I'm like, fuck, I haven't played it. Shit, I'm like halfway through. No. We gotta stop the podcast. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. More Sony Pony. Jeff, this is just a Sony podcast. It just never ends.
Never ends. Infinite content.
Okay.
We don't do this often, but there's some interesting stuff on here. We're gonna go through the top 10 PlayStation Store downloads for October.
Spooky.
Number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I know everyone's shocked.
Jeff, good thing I was sitting down, man.
Yeah. Number 2, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Now you're actually surprised.
Yeah, that's actually surprising.
Because by everyone talking, it sounds like this game did not do well, and it did not meet Ubisoft's expectations. That's confirmed and everything. But it's one of those cases, generally speaking, it looked like it sold well. Just not as much as Ubisoft.
Ubisoft used the words "very disappointed" in the press release. In corporate speak, that's basically like that's a lot. That's basically like screw this game.
We took the marketers out back and shot them.
Yeah, like they're already dead. The whole team is dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it is probably one of those things that, I mean, Wildlands sold an insane amount. I mean,
and it continued to sell.
It was the top selling game until Call of Duty of that year.
I think this is like Anthem, not as big of a bomber, but where it had a really good first month, where Anthem is still in the top 10 selling games according to NPDs for the year, but that was just from the initial things, and then sold nothing.
Yeah,
pretty much. And now it's on sale for $10 everywhere.
Well, that's like it hasn't even been that long, and Ubisoft can already tell that it's such a downward trajectory that they're telling investors that they're very disappointed, and they said that they were like telling their teams to try to like change their philosophy and make sure their game's unique. They said that they like talked to all their studios and they're like, we want unique games, or like they were completely changing their philosophy because of this game, and they were aware of that after like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that tells me that, yeah, like you said, it must have been a big out the gate, but even within a 3-week span, it must already be declining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3, the exact opposite situation as Ghost Recon Breakpoint, The Outer Worlds.
Yeah, this is one where it's like, oh shit, it's like,
yeah, especially since it is on Game Pass, and honestly, when it's a lot of the people I hear saying they're playing it is based on Game Pass for Xbox and PC, but the kind of people I would hear it from are people who would Who would get Game Pass?
And we always need to remember there are a lot more people out there with PlayStations than Xboxes.
Yes, very much so. And based on what I heard, and I'll just go ahead and say this as part of this section, we got some Take-Two stuff. Two. Actually, I was probably insert the Take-Two news in here.
Let's do it.
All games are involved with this. Outer Worlds, according to Take-Two, is a critical and commercial success. They didn't get any more details than that, but obviously critically it was a success because the reviews were fantastic, and commercially it sounded like that was going to be the case too, and that seems to be the case. Benji Sales on Twitter, who's has access to a bunch of sales information, said, I think it was him, said, kind of surprised at how much it actually is selling on the PS4. Obviously, it's doing well on Xbox and stuff, considering the Game Pass stuff, but it's doing really well on PS4 as well. Yeah,
which, I think we just keep thinking of that as an Xbox game, especially with Obsidian being bought and all the other stuff. But I'm just impressed with the sales of this game, like, regardless of platform, period, because, like, even us talking about leading up into this game, me and you both said this game looks really good, but I mean, if this game had bombed commercially, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah,
it was a new IP, kind of a smaller, more AA game, and I feel like it had a lot of marketing, like, in our game spheres, like E3 and other things like that. But outside of that, like, I really didn't know. I feel like there would have been a lot of Fallout fans who would have loved this game who just never knew it existed. Like, I feel like that was definitely a possibility.
So I think as far as this game is successful, I think it was like the perfect storm for it between
76.
Yeah, 76 is just Bethesda in general, this generation dropping the ball, and this being so obviously Fallout-ish.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped, and the fact that it obviously reviewed well, and it being on Game Pass, it was marketed pretty heavily, I think, on Game Pass. I think I actually saw commercials on like ESPN and stuff where there's a Game Pass commercial, and they're specifically pointing out this game.
Nice.
And because people are playing on Game Pass on Xbox and PC, word of mouth spread because people generally really like this game.
Yeah.
And if you like I said, Fallout's huge. So those fans hear, hey, this game made by Fallout New Vegas guys and original Fallout creators, and it's actually really good, while Fallout 76 still sucks. Yeah.
Yep, I think you're right. I mean, yeah, it's one of those that, like, if you're able to get the ear of those people, then, like, yeah, you're on to the races, it's going to be great. But,
and I think what's exciting for this game is the fact that now that they had the Microsoft backing and it is a proven success, the budget for the sequel or whatever Bethesda does next, or Obsidian does next, will be a good bit bigger.
Yeah, I expect Outer Worlds 2 to be better than Outer Worlds because,
like you said, Outer Worlds is a AA game.
Yeah,
Outer Worlds 2 will be a AAA.
Even in my the first area I was in, I already talked to multiple people, and I'm like, oh, that's the same voice actor. Yeah, that's the same guy voicing 3 different characters, and like AA game things like that. But
no, I think based on what we've seen, Obsidian / Outer Worlds is going to be a big tentpole for Microsoft in the future, which is very nice to see.
And Obsidian was probably a good get.
Yes. No. It was the timing was really good for Microsoft. Yeah, Obsidian's already paid off, even if this game isn't exclusive to their platforms.
Yeah. No. They can just get more sales now, and then even though it'll definitely make people mad, it'll be like, and then Outer Worlds 2 exclusively on Xbox
and PC.
Which obviously where I'll put it, but
yeah.
But there's a lot of people who only have PlayStation.
That's where I'll be playing, because I'm not planning on getting an Xbox, whatever the next one is. I'll just get my Game Pass stuff on PC.
Yep. And Microsoft seems okay with that.
Yep.
And if they're okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, because for people like us, we weren't going to get it anyway, and then we're still getting our money.
Yep.
Though I would have been it would have hurt if I couldn't play Psychonauts. Psychonauts is one of those things that was already being made, so it would have been on everything anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I would imagine.
Props to Microsoft, though, for not taking away stuff that is promised.
Yeah,
it's the right thing to do. But
is Psychonauts just coming out on PS4 and Xbox One, or is it also on PC?
It should be on PC. Psychonauts 1 sold really well on PC, on Steam.
Yeah.
So I think that's how it actually got money to be like, okay, we're making a sequel.
That's good. I mean, a lot of those, especially like Kickstarter games like that, are usually on everything because they're just trying to get as many people in as they can.
So excited. Okay. Want to talk about Kojima, Darby?
Let's do it.
But not in the way you think. Death Stranding is terrible. No, I'm joking. This one,
As two people who have not played it, we're here to tell you
why you're wrong about your opinion on Death Stranding. You know your opinion.
you know what? I'm gonna make a statement here, okay?
Okay.
And you know, I'm really brave and courageous for saying this.
Can I tell you are?
Death Stranding is a video game.
Whoa, man. You're so brave.
So controversial yet so brave.
This comes from Matt Purslow of IGN. Hideo Kojima has stated his intent for his studio, Kojima Productions, to start making movies as well as video games in the future. Talking to BBC Newsbeat as part of a documentary about Death Stranding, Kojima said, quote, in the future, Kojima Productions will start making films. If you can do one thing well, then you can do everything well, end quote.
Is that a translation thing?
I don't know, but I have problems with that statement. Kojima went on to explain that he sees that movies, TV shows, and games competing in the same space in the future, thanks to streaming technology, and that this will encourage new formats to emerge. Quote, I'm very interested in the new format of game that will appear on there, and that's what I want to take on, end quote.
Something is not surprising, right?
No, he's always wanted to make movies, but that quote, if it's not just a translation thing, I'm like, Kojima, you seem cool and all, you're talented, but that's not how things work.
It just seems like if it is a translation thing, this guy has a lot of translation problems because he also had the like this game that I made,
yeah,
whatever. I don't know. There's just too many quotes from Kojima that just kind of seem egotistical, but who knows?
Yeah.
This is not surprising. I don't 100% know if his talents are going to immediately translate to a good movie because like I think it, unlike what this quote says, it's two completely different things. Like it's a new craft. Like I feel like he's gonna, just like learning a new sport or something, you're gonna have to like make mistakes, and you know, like it's not, even though his games are very cinematic, he has not worked with, especially if it's like a live action thing, that's not really something that he's done before.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna be honest here, might be controversial. Making good cutscenes doesn't equal good movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Last of Us, much I love it, it probably wouldn't translate to a movie as well as you would think.
No, yeah. I mean, they are cinematic, but there are so many things in The Last of Us that are like crucial things with the pacing and the story and everything. They are told through like your actions and gameplay and everything. Like it's a lot different when you have to have like the blocking and just everything else that you have in the cutscene to tell the full story.
Plus, based on Kojima's storytelling, I don't know if he could fit a story in the length of a movie. His last cutscenes are lengths of movies.
And he's just like, there's writers like Kojima, and again, to be fair, I haven't played a Kojima game. It's mostly just I've seen a decent amount of like Metal Gear writing, and I've seen Death Stranding stuff.
I've seen all Metal Gear games played.
It seems like people like Kojima and David Cage, both of those, I don't really feel like their writing style will translate the movies very well, because it seems like both of them are pretty damn bad at subtlety. They're very bad at like their exposition. Everything has to be said out loud. It's like every thought that they have about the world and the story is said through their people or whatever. And you know what that gets you? The freaking Star Wars prequels. That's what it gets you. When there is all the exposition is just, do you have a question? We're going to answer it. And like this person's going to tell this person, and they're gonna almost come right up to staring at the camera and telling you head on. I mean, that makes for terrible movies. You can get away with it in video games sometimes, partially just because honestly, it sucks to say, but a lot of times we accept lesser storytelling in games just because we're used to it, or because it's like the conceit for also having gameplay, you know. Like movie storytelling is different, and I feel like Kojima's style, at least if he doesn't have a good editor, would probably just lead to very Star Wars prequels like stories, you know. The other part of this is what exactly does that mean? Like, is Kojima Productions also going to be making games and then movies on the side? Or is it like, all right, Death Stranding's done, we're going to go make a movie before we make something else? Like, what does that mean? It's like, I don't know.
All I know is at least he should have good actors in whatever movie he makes.
Oh, I'm sure. It'll be star-studded.
He knows a lot of friends.
And I will go back to the prequels. Natalie Portman's a great actress. Didn't save those movies. I don't know. We'll see.
Darby, you know what we like here?
Game announcements? Shadow drops?
Shadow drops.
Sorry, I knew I'd get there eventually.
This comes from Adam Bakehurst from IGN.
I was going to say weird men with beady eyes.
One is a woman, I believe. Little Nightmares developer Tarsier Studios and Nintendo have surprise released a new comedic co-op puzzle game called The Stretchers for Nintendo Switch. The Stretchers has players take on the role of two medics who must work together to rescue dizzies, troubled residents dizzied by the evil mastermind Captain Brains in all kind of wacky ways. Players will drive to each scene in an ambulance, all while breaking through walls, soaring through the sky, and facing other perils along the way.
I forgot the dizzies.
Oh no, Darby! The ambulance will be coming. We will. Once at the scene, the two medics must gather all the dizzies on a stretcher or grab them by their limbs and bring them back to the ambulance. Like Overcooked, players must work together in hilarious and undoubtedly comically frustrating ways if they hope to be successful at the dizzy's last hope.
So this game kind of just happened, didn't it?
It did kind of just happen, but apparently it was on the eShop since May.
Like, but like behind the scenes, right? Like, you can see it in the yeah. But weird. It looks cool. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm not familiar. Does that just mean like they had a placeholder thing, or like the game was made and in there?
Like it looks like the game was actually downloaded on the eShop since May.
So like it hasn't changed. It's just like the game was
apparently
the
1.0 version was on there since May.
What the hell? So that makes it seem like they were waiting for something, but then it was dropped randomly, like not in any like Nintendo Direct or anything like that. So like, not
really much going on, which I kind of hate it for the game. I like the Little Nightmare devs,
but honestly, I've seen a surprising amount of people talk about this game. Yeah. I feel like the situation of it releasing was so bizarre and so weird that it's almost like getting it talked about more than it would have been in a Nintendo Direct.
True.
Like, I feel like it might have worked. It was a huge gamble.
Yeah.
But it also looks like a decently low budget game. So maybe they were like, let's try to catch eyes with this by just kind of.
Within the next couple of days, we'll be seeing every streamer and Let's Player play this game.
Which is huge for it.
We'll probably do it. It's fun.
This might end up working for them so well, you know? Yeah. I guess, it looks like a good streaming game. And honestly, if it was in the Nintendo sizzle reel, it might have been something where like, oh, that looks cool, but and move on. But like, I've seen people talk about like, what the hell? There's a game there, Yeah,
it's also crazy. This is for the Little Nightmare devs.
So it's a very different tone.
Yeah, and we're still getting Little Nightmares 2 next year. Let's go, baby.
When Jeff told me it was Little Nightmares, and I just saw the thumbnail. I was like, this is gonna be like a horror game in disguise, isn't it? Like these like stretcher people are gonna like grow fangs and eat someone.
And then nope. Now everyone go watch the trailer. It looks like a good game.
Yeah.
It's like a good fun time.
Yep.
And like I said, it is co-op, so that adds to the hilarity. Okay, well, I lied. We didn't get to all the Take-Two information.
Jeff,
we're going to do it now.
How dare you lie to our viewers? I won't stand for this.
I'm sorry. We kind of skipped over the rest of the top 10, even though there
wasn't. Burn down the top 10. Oh, yeah, we did, didn't we? Oh, well.
Yeah, there wasn't that much.
We got through what we were actually wanting to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, so here are two other Take-Two little notes. Borderlands 3 has sold about 7 million copies worldwide.
Damn, boy.
That's a good number.
Yeah, that sounds about what I would expect for it to do. Not that it's not impressive. It is definitely impressive.
GTA 5 has now sold about 115 million. So, let me see. I think I took a screenshot of it.
I honestly would have believed a higher number than that even.
Yeah.
It's literally the top 10 every single month ever. Like you go back to the 90s, it's there. Top 10s for the 90s, it's there.
Yep. Okay. Apparently did. So I think it was Daniel Ahmad posted how much it sold by year. And pretty consistently since like 2014, 2015, it's consistently sold 15 million at least per year, pretty like every year. Last year might have sold a little less, but
I know we say this so much, but how?
I don't know.
I just don't get it.
Apparently it's 15 million this year.
I just want to know who these people are who haven't bought it yet.
No, people continue to buy the game because it's cheaper to buy the game to get some currency for the game than actually buying it in game.
I know, but there's enough people doing that.
I guess. I don't know.
I guess, dude. It's a weird.
I mean, there's a reason Rockstar has only released one game this generation.
You want to know my theory, Jeff? Rockstar has found life on another planet, and they're selling them GTA copies, but they just don't tell the world about that other planet. So like they keep finding other life, and these sales are actually coming from some other solar system they're shipping GTA copies to, and then we just see the sales numbers go up. But Rocksteady's like, hush hush, we don't want to tell anyone.
Darby, this is planet Earth. We don't count extraterrestrial sales.
And they don't tell us. They're keeping it's all under the rug, Jeff. They just like report like, oh, look at all these sales. Look in our vault of GTA. Like, it's all gone. It's all been sold. Who knows? It just disappeared.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't know if anyone's ever had that theory before. They probably have. I don't know. But that's my theory. It's aliens. It's been aliens the whole time.
Aliens are running our government.
The water's making the frogs gay.
So good.
Oh, that man. Oh, that man. That boy.
Oh, shit, what up?
Oh, shit, what up? What are we talking about now, Jeff?
Sorry, we're moving to our main topic.
Oh, yeah, it's the main topic. Yeah, we're going to talk about something that we've thought about having this discussion for a long time, and now we kind of don't have much else, so it's like, why not? Jeff, let's talk about some VR.
Some VR?
Some VR.
VR, baby.
Hot VR gaming. Now we are a few years into VR gaming. There was, I remember, the like big build up to Oculus coming out, Vive coming out, then PSVR coming out. And now, like, we fully live in the VR gaming space now.
We do.
I would say that VR has definitely not taken off to the level that people thought it might, but it also, to me at least, feels like something that is sticking around, even if it's not in the forefront. You know, like. What do you think about like where we are now in VR versus like where you thought we'd be, and like what you think it's going to be, especially moving into like the next consoles?
So yeah, it's not as big as I was thinking it could be. I didn't really know exactly how big it was going to be, but yeah, I think I probably thought it was going to be bigger potentially, but it's the way it is. But yeah, it's still doing well. People still released up the Oculus Quest. I think that's the name of it, just released, and it seems to be a pretty step up as far as the tech for it, and people seem to be pretty...
Stuff like the Oculus Quest, I feel like could be the next big breaking point for VR sales because of the ease of use. Yeah,
I mean, that would be my biggest complaint for my PlayStation VR headset is all the cords and everything, and transporting it can be kind of a pain. So I'm kind of glad we're because normally I'm transporting between wherever we hang out and my house, but since we now live together, I can just set it up and it's just done. Yeah. So we'll both probably get more used to that from now on. But
I've known a lot of people like you and a lot of other people I've heard who like they really love VR and they really want to be playing their PSVR more, but it's just like in actual practical time, you get home from work and you just don't feel like setting that thing up, and you don't want to leave it set up because it just stays in the way. So in reality, you end up barely playing it. It becomes like your Rock Band peripherals that are in a closet somewhere, and you want to play it, but you just don't.
Yeah.
And I think that has to change before mainstream people.
I agree. And the Quest is a big step forward, and mainly what we might be focusing on is PSVR because that's what we have the most experience in as far as us following and us have it and me having it and the gaming library as far as we know it. Yeah. But again, the Quest will be a big step forward, and I'm hoping If there is a PSVR 2, I kind of imagine there might be one. They might just do one final kind of thing with it with the PS5.
Yeah.
To try to see if it, hits.
Yeah.
But also PSVR is the top selling. It's last I heard PSV or VR peripheral. So
Okay. Yeah.
VR headset. So
The cheapest entry definitely helps. What is Quest price? I think it might be 300, but
yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. So what do you think PSVR 2 or whatever it is, for lack of a better word, like, do you think that Sony will try to make it more of an Oculus Quest type deal?
400 it looks like.
Okay. Where like with the cutting down on the wires, like Quest pretty much cuts the wires almost completely out.
Yeah.
I feel like Sony kind of has to do that for longevity reasons, but also I don't know how you do that and keep the price down. Unless you have different models, unless you have like your wired model and then you have a non-wired model.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Obviously before like Quest and some of those other ones, they all had wires. PSVR was still the cheapest.
Yeah.
It's just because it was not as powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
They could do that, but can still not be as powerful, but more powerful than the PSVR 1 that we have currently, and still have the wires out and still potentially undercut the Quest and the like.
And the Quest is also not as powerful. It's like sacrificing power for the ease of use of it.
But I think what's also a big positive for why PSVR might be the best selling one is, or at least was, that might not be the case anymore. So
yeah,
it's just upsetting. It definitely is at this point. But while it did sell well compared to other VR things, is the fact that you just plug it into your PS4. You don't have to worry about keeping it with your PC and all that, and making sure it up your PC's up to date and all that.
Yeah, it's just a lot. Like most console gaming, it is. Even though it does feel cumbersome, it's still a lot simpler than Oculus and Vive. It's still, you plug it into your PS4 and it just works.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. There's something else I was going to ask and I already lost it. Oh, I'm also thinking about just sales for PSVR 2 because like I feel like from the time that VR gaming has started, we've kind of always been in this catch-22 scenario where developers don't want to put a bunch of resources into making games because there's not the audience there, so there's not guaranteed money, but also consumers don't want to pay the money to buy it because there's not enough games.
Yeah.
So it's like, one of these has to take a step forward before the other one will. It feels like. Do you think we could get out of that catch-22
I think
scenario?
so. It's got to be some people like Sony who actually, and the other companies who make VR headsets are making games themselves with their own studios or paying people, other outside studios to do it, which is what Sony's doing.
And like taking a loss potentially.
Sony's getting an exclusive Iron Man VR game, which apparently is good.
Yeah, which is a very comforting thing. And I feel like it also kind of has to tie into like, I feel like we really need, when you were talking about potentially hearing about PS5 stuff next February, I really want the next generation of PSVR to be a big point of that. Mm-hmm. Like they need to drive that. There needs to be bundles. Like when you're in GameStop or Walmart, it's like you can get the PS5 or you can get the PS5 bundle with VR. I
think it'll be expensive.
Yeah, it'd be expensive, but you know what I mean.
But I'd probably get it.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you save any money at all on it, and you know that you're gonna get the VR, then it might be worth it. But
just hypothetically, that would definitely be a. Hey mom, can you pay like for half of this for my Christmas present?
It would be an intimidating number to look at.
It would be. But yeah. The problem is with VR is, as we talked about, is people trying it because they don't get it until they get in there.
Yeah.
And then not everyone's going to be into it because people get motion sick for certain
But
things.
it just sucks because you see games like Astrobot, which is so damn good,
And then you see simple stuff like Beat Saber are the kind of games that get people.
yeah,
The general public. And I feel like, okay, so we're in February. They're doing a PS5 announcement thing. They announced the PSVR 2. The way they show it off is no wires. Just you put a guy there with the new PlayStation Move controllers, something better than what we have.
Yes,
they 100%. Yes. And you have Beat Saber go on the screen. The guy just playing Beat Saber with no wires.
That's eye catching. That's like okay, that.
Or better yet, it's not Beat Saber on there. It's Beat Saber 2 coming out on launch with.
Yeah.
That's something too, because for the people who be watching the PS5 reveal event, even if they haven't played Beat Saber, they probably heard of it at least.
Yeah.
I think Beat Saber's like the only VR game I think to sell over 1 million copies, and it's continuing to sell. I just kind of see it sometimes when these PSN stuff comes out. Catch a glimpse of the PS VR chart. Beat Saber's always number one because why wouldn't it be? That's like that more than any of them. Even though it's not my favorite, we'll get to exactly where it is on my list later. But it is the one to get. It is the Mario Kart of VR.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
That's the one you get.
And I think, not that it's surprising at all, but we've absolutely learned that the best VR experiences are the ones where it's this studio was making a VR game. Yeah. It's like, I mean, obviously Resident Evil and stuff like that is cool, but it's like a cool little add-on thing. The best VR experiences are the ones that like we're making a VR game.
I have to agree that Resident Evil is the exception.
Yeah. But
Tetris Effect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessary.
No. But I generally agree. If you beat Saber, Astrobot,
or at the very least, to make you feel like it's worth buying.
Yeah,
like if it was just for like Resident Evil type experiences or Tetris Effect, I'd be like, yes, that's really cool. I'm not going to spend $300 just to enhance the games I already have.
Yeah. You need to get stuff like Beat Saber and Astrobot where you can't play anything else in it. Fully use the VR, and it is better for using the VR.
Right.
Which those two gains,
and I think that is definitely where the future. At least that's where I feel like VR will stay healthier the longest. But you also have to get developers to want to do that, and it's already hard enough to sell new IPs on the PS4 where there's 100 million people. It makes it that much harder when you have kind of a niche system that a lot of people don't have time to even use. And it's a hard thing to overcome for sure.
Yeah.
And it's hard for PSVR just with Quest coming out, and especially if Quest starts to blow up. But
if Quest starts developing and PSVR goes aside, I'll probably start looking at Quest.
Yeah, I mean, it's high from the price, and I mean, this is one of those things that.
I mean, like for a good bit in the future, at least.
Probably like 5 years from now, all this stuff will be a lot cheaper, and I mean, we might still be a ways off. Like thinking about next year PSVR 2 or something like fixing these problems might be a little wishful thinking. We might be like 7 years from now, 10 years from now or something, it might get to the point where like, okay, VR is so cheap and it's almost ubiquitous. Like schools are using it. Like right now, schools, every kid has an iPad that we didn't have that when me and you were growing up. Like things have changed. 10 years from now, maybe every kid has a VR headset or something. And it's just like, yeah, duh. And then at that point, it would be, you could have studios that we are a VR studio, and that's not like a risk. It's just a thing. Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, yeah. I just remember something when they were talking about PS5 at some point. I think they did confirm the VR headsets that are already out will be compatible with the PS5. So it just might be a thing if they're going in that direction that they will just release wireless one.
Yeah.
So I guess from a power standpoint, part of it is the system it's on. Like PS4 ones, I think generally. So that might take away some of the power things of just being on PS5, which makes sense because the VR headset's kind of like a projector.
Yeah, it's more of you can plug the same headset into a PS5 and you have more power because the PlayStation.
So
yeah, I mean, like they also might not have any new VR news when the PS5 launches. It might just be, yeah, you can still use your PSVR, and then later down the line we have more stuff.
Announce Astrobot 2. Let's do it.
Yeah, it might just be new SKUs, like we said. Like this is PSVR.
But honestly, especially with the Quest, I do think they are at least looking at right now wireless stuff, because that is so, since people are doing it now, they gotta like, okay, yes, this is the future of it. This is what's gonna be the standard for VR. So if we're gonna continue this, we gotta get this done.
It's just so much more appealing that way. Yeah. It's okay for like your PC to be clunky because it stays in one place, but like you're talking about, I want to show my friends this, but it's like, all right, time to log everything in. It's obnoxious. Well, do you have anything more to say about VR as a whole right now and going forward, or are you ready to get into your top 10 VR games as of right now?
Let's get into those VR games.
Let's do it. Top 10. This is Jeff, the VR expert. No one knows VR better than Jeff.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. I'm sorry.
As you probably can tell, it's going to be like top PSVR gaars. That's what I'm putting as
the old, like, I don't think either of us have even played an Oculus or a Vive, have we?
Nope. Yeah. So
just PSVR.
I do want to say potentially that Trover Saves the Universe would probably have been on this list potentially, but I have not started it yet.
I just think it's hype that you have more than 10 games.
Yep. And there's some other games that make the list. Okay.
But these are Jeff's recommendations if you go out and buy a PSVR.
Yep. Number 10. I've not finished this game, so it will probably be higher once I'm done with it, but it is really damn good. Blood and Truth.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a cinematic heist game where you're going around things, you're shooting people. This neat little heist story going on. It's pretty generic, but it's fun.
It's like an action movie.
Yeah,
it's like a cheesy action movie.
It's a cheesy action movie where you're in it and you're shooting things up, and the shooting is fun.
Yeah, I want to play that. And my sister wants to play that.
Yeah. I think it's like 5 hours, so I need to get back and play it.
Nice.
So, number 9, Ghost Giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished this game earlier this year. It came out earlier this year. It's just a thing where you're a nice ghost and you're interacting with the world, and this little fox boy, I think it's a fox or something like that. And he's the only one who can see. You're having fun. You get a cute little story. It's kind of like a little puzzle thing where you can interact with the world, like pick up houses and like the ceilings off houses and stuff, and solve puzzles and all that.
Yeah.
And then every level is like a little fun little thing where there's a basketball around you. That's like a hoop somewhere, and you just got to try to throw it in there.
That's funny. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's just kind of like and the world is kind of one of those things where it is kind of like it's paper and kind of paperish. So it's kind of like you're in this diorama type thing with all these cute little creatures.
That was cool.
Really fun, good time.
Yeah.
Number 8. Cute. This is just a personal thing. Psychonauts: The Rhombus of Ruins.
Nice.
This is a very short thing, so unless you're a big Psychonauts fan, for full price, I definitely can't recommend it because it's only like an hour and a half or 2 hours or something like that.
But it actually adds a lot, right?
It is like I mentioned it before. It's the whole thing. It takes place right after Psychonauts 1. At the end of Psychonauts, spoilers for a 15-year-old whatever game, they go off. Well, it ends. They go off on a mission to save someone. This VR game is them saving that person, and Psychonauts 2 is after they save the person.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it probably. I don't think it's going to be a thing of you're going to be lost if you don't play this game for Psychonauts 2. But you get more out of there, and you learn more about the main characters.
Yeah, and especially for a side VR thing, it's cool that it actually has story.
Yeah, and because it's a cartoony thing, it looks good being in there.
Nice.
Everything is cool, and just because of the way Psychonauts is, it's kind of a thing of the limitations of VR as far as like pointing and clicking, just moving around. It makes sense in the world and is fun and all that. Yeah. So I really liked it as a Psychonauts fan.
I guess I wonder if the same team did that or if they handed that off to someone else.
Nope. It
was the same team.
It was double fun.
That was pretty cool that they were able to like do something completely different, go and do a VR thing on top of doing Psychonauts 2. Might partially be why it took so long to get Psychonauts 2, but whatever. It's the how it goes.
Yeah, I can't remember the timeline exactly. I think they announced Psychonauts 2, but then they're also like, Psychonauts 2 is going to take a while, so we're going to give you this.
Yeah.
Because this was kind of also a way up, hey, Psychonauts 2 is definitely happening.
It was their Curse of the Moon or whatever.
Yeah, but it just came out like 4 or 5 years before.
That's wild.
What's kind of funny is this was originally a PS4, PSVR exclusive, but now they're an Xbox studio.
Was that 4 or 5 years ago?
Probably something like that.
Jeez.
I don't know, it might be like 3 or 4. Number 7, Tetris Effect.
Nice. Yeah.
Yep, it is Tetris. It is fun. It's very psychedelic.
Is it like the most zen you've ever been in your life?
Yeah, it's a very zen experience. A lot of cool things going on just with the sound and just the visuals going on.
Yeah.
Like, more than about any of these VR games, it's just the easiest to get lost in when you're playing it.
Oh, yeah.
Your brother-in-law can
yeah it was so funny. Like, he had never really done VR stuff all that much, but he just got in this and like completely zoned out. He's like, this is all I want to do.
Yeah, this is one of those games that it's like, yep, you need the headphones on.
It's such a unique thing. Like, I don't know, I just love that whoever owns Tetris is just like, sure, do whatever wacky things you like, because Tetris is just such a base game that like everyone understands. Like, almost everyone on the planet understands Tetris. So it's like, okay, we're gonna use the fact that we have this baseline that you know that's good and that you know, and then like we're gonna do Puyo Puyo Tetris, we're gonna do Tetris 99, we're gonna do Tetris Effect in VR. It's like, it's really cool, and to have a musical experience and visual experience or whatever with Tetris is just a unique idea.
And while this game is greatly benefit from VR, this is a game that is playable and not in VR, non-VR, and it's still good.
For all you casuals, plebs out there, not in VR.
Number 6, Moss.
Yeah.
A nice little, this is one of those, probably one of the first like VR only games where it's like, this is a game. Yep. It's still kind of limited with the VR stuff, but you're controlling this little mouse called Quill and going on a little grand storybook adventure.
Yeah.
And it is really fun. Quill is adorable. It's fun giving her little high fives.
I can play that game now that I'm with you. Yeah.
It's like only 3 hours long. And where's book 2? Where is it?
Bungie developed, isn't it? Or
I think it has people that used to be in Bungie.
Okay.
Definitely not developed by Bungie.
Yeah. People from Bungie. That's still kind of bizarre. But
yeah, one of those first things where it's like, yes, people can make like regular games in VR and they'd be good. Number 5, Darby, you can attest to this one. Keep talking and no one explodes.
Hell yeah.
This is a game that has like, I guess, a kind of physical, like kind of board game-ish version and just regular, but
so,
the best way
is it for you?
Yeah, so the way this works is just the general thing is you're supposed to disarm a bomb or doing stuff to disarm a bomb, and your friends have instructions that are trying to read to you, and you tell them what you see on the bomb.
Right.
And they float through the notes and see what it is. In VR, someone has the VR headset on and can see the bomb moving around and interacting with it. The people outside of it on the TV have the sheets with all the information on it to how to disarm the bomb. And this is one of those simple ideas that just works so well with VR.
Such a good party game.
Yes, because it can be done in non-VR, but the VR just kind of works because you don't have all the clutter of all the the regular version has all the paper and everything,
and it's also just so cool to be able to, you are actually spinning this bomb around because it has a bunch of different modules and things on it. It definitely adds to the intensity,
and for the person and the headset, it kind of feels like you are separate from everyone else
because you can't see them whatsoever.
All you can see is the bomb,
and the tension whenever the time's starting to go down. You're like, oh no, oh god.
Yeah, we need to play more of that.
That was so much fun. And like, you're the people like looking at the TV, like the instruction manual, like it looks like it's like a non-user friendly instruction manual. Like it's all black and white text. It's like, you have to read and understand. And so it makes it hard, and it's such a unique concept. And like you said, it's one of those that doesn't necessarily need VR, but like it makes it so much better.
A game that's also has a non-VR version, but is so much better in VR. Super.
I really can't imagine playing that game not VR, even though I know it was originally not VR.
I'm curious to try it out because I think the levels are different as well, which can make it fun.
I think people say that it's overall like better as far as like how much content and the quality of the content in non-VR, but I have to imagine that VR is the like most fun way to play that game.
Yeah, because people who don't know what super hot is, what happens is you're kind of this. Well, I guess you're a black blob or whatever, but you gotta kill these red blobs. And the way things work, time moves when you do. So if you're staying still, time stop. So in VR, when you don't move your hands and your head or whatever, everyone's frozen. But when you do,
right.
But then you do some Matrix ass stuff when people are like shooting bullets at you, just kind of dodging.
It's like a Matrix or 007, like you're always in these gunfights basically, and it like simulates like the slow-mo effects like in cinematic things because you're moving, and it's almost a puzzle game.
Yeah,
because it's like you'll have 5 different dudes are coming, they're shooting their bullets, so I got to be able to like dodge these bullets and then shoot them with this gun or like try to shoot with both hands.
Or I gotta grab the knife that's next to me, throw it at the guy to my right, grab his gun.
Man, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
you feel like a badass.
Yeah. My main complaint is it's too short.
Yeah.
So that game is great and a must-have if you have a VR thing. Because I'm almost positive it's one of those that's on all the VR headsets.
I agree.
Number 3, Resident Evil 7. Darry, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I did beat this game.
Okay, I didn't know you beat it all the way. You play the whole thing in VR?
There were a couple settings when I was doing some backtracking stuff that I took the headset off.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Which I thought was like, nothing much is going on at the moment, so let's get this thing off me.
Yeah.
So I can maybe play longer.
Not get a headache.
But so good, Darry. And that's like for me,
Too much of a babby.
For me, who horror games don't always affect me, or just horror things in general, it does add tension to you being in it.
Yeah.
Like the Baker family is trying to get you, and you're just running away and all that, and the monsters and all that. You know, so good.
Oh, still too much for me. Maybe I should do it on camera at some point. It would be funny. But
And Chris Redfield in VR.
Nice.
Spoilers, I guess.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah. So this kind of sucks though. I enjoyed it so much, and I kind of doubt 8's gonna be, even if it is first person.
No, that's what I feel like we're kind of lucky that 7 happened when it did, because like VR was still new and everything. So like Capcom felt like it was like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this bold new thing, and like you said, like it's probably not gonna be the case now. So we're probably just very lucky that game came
I need
out
to get
when
that
it
DLC.
did.
Joe Baker VR. Let's go.
Yeah.
Did you know that DLC is?
No.
Joe Baker, you're the uncle of the main antagonist family or whatever.
Okay.
And you beat the monster with your fists. Like that's your weapon.
Nice.
It's awesome. That in VR would be fun.
Can you use the Move controllers and punch with these?
Honestly, don't know. I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Number 2. I think you can guess what the 2 are. I want 2.
Yeah, I think. I think I know both of them.
Yeah, 2 Beat Saber.
Okay. Yeah, that is the order I would have guessed too.
Yeah. Beat Saber is one of those games. The concept is so simple, but it works so damn fun. It just so works in VR. People who somebody that don't know what this game is, you get in there. It's in a way like Guitar Hero, but instead of you press the buttons, you're cutting squares with 2 lightsabers.
Yeah. In rhythm with the song.
But they're not called lightsabers because that's copyright stuff. Don't sue us, Disney.
But they're lightsabers.
Yeah. And you got a lot of these cool, mostly original songs, I think. They've added some licensed stuff recently that I don't like any of the ones they've announced so far.
None of them have been interesting to us. It's but people listening. I mean, it's like Panic at the Disco and Imagine Dragons. And other stuff like that. But no, this game is just, it's one of those that I could put my parents in it, and that you could literally put like anyone in it, and they're probably going to enjoy.
And there are a bunch of different variety of things you can do as far as the difficulty, and a lot of modifiers you can do.
And if you're like Chad Michael Ennis and you're just an absolute inhuman
A god.
inhuman god. You can go on expert plus and not fail in the first second and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a good workout.
Oh yeah. I did it for like we've like played it for like a good hour and a half or 2 hours, like passing back and forth, and like I get sweaty and like my arms are tired by the end of it.
Mm-hmm. I think they may have had some songs recently that aren't part of those packs I haven't got to.
And the original songs are good. Like they have like because they're like designed for it, like the bass drops and everything. It just feels cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
And I'm sure because of how big that game is, they're just going to keep adding songs more and more.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the most popular VR game, and it's one of those games. You get a VR headset, you're probably getting that.
Yep. It really is the Mario Kart 8.
Yep.
All right, number 1.
Astrobot, baby.
Also a game that I played, and also a game that I love.
It's
dearly.
So good.
So this is Super Mario Odyssey, but made for VR, basically.
Yeah. It is the Super Mario 64.
It's Super Mario 64 is what I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 3D platformer. You're playing in VR. You're this little robot trying to find other robots and going through all these different worlds and all that. It's just it's so good. They make such great use of the VR with this.
Yep.
And what's also great about it, as far as the length goes, it's a full game just for regular game standards. It's not like shortened or anything because it's VR, really.
Yeah, but it also it doesn't overstay its welcome.
No.
It's like the perfect length.
No,
you don't get tired of, and the different areas like change. Like as soon as you're done with one area, like it's done, and then you move on.
And I don't think there's a bad level in the bunch. They're all unique in their own ways. There's something going on.
There's like enough collectibles type things to be interesting, but it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, and there's some extra level stuff you can do that.
But Astrobot is like, I very rarely say this for games, and it's usually games that are more simple, so it's easier. Astrobot is pretty much a perfect game. There's like almost nothing I would change about Astrobot. And it's like you wouldn't immediately think when you think of VR a third-person platformer. That you usually just take mostly first-person stuff. But like, and you would also be worried that this is a game like, oh, like could this have been just a normal PS4 game and they just like threw VR?
A lot of people were complaining that it wasn't, but then anyone who did play the game would quickly be able to tell you, no, this would not work. Like they'd have to make a completely different game for it to work in, right? Just on regular PS4 and be good. Because
like the pace of that, like you are constantly being amazed by like little things. Like I'm doing something, I'm like, wait a minute, and then like I turn my head around the corner, I'm like, oh shit, like there's things that you've never been able to do in a 3D platformer before because like you are the camera basically, and you can like look under and above things, and like it is really phenomenal for how apparently like obviously they didn't have a big budget and it was a pretty small team,
20 people,
but on all layers there is no like dry spells in that game. It is just like an awesome pace of new reveals. The music is fantastic. It's crazy. That game was so much better than it had any right to be.
Yep. A lot of people, saying the praises of Astrobot when it came out for good reason.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
And some people just couldn't believe it. Was like, there's no way this game's good.
It doesn't look like it would be because it has the PlayStation like little robot dudes or whatever. It looks like just a packaged in like
the original concept was the packaging thing in the Playhouse, but then people kind of liked the idea of it, so they just made it a full game and it turned out to be great. Yeah. So I think they ended up making the game less than 2 years. So
like I almost kind of wish that it wasn't using those guys because I feel like people would take it more seriously. It just looks like it's
so adorable, though.
I know, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I almost wish it was just something else, But.
Yeah, so whether they make a PSVR 2 or not, I really hope that Astrobot 2 is being worked on.
I really hope so. I mean, it seemed like they were very satisfied with.
I think it also helps. I know he's not the president anymore, but his name referenced Astrobot and like Astrobot is his head or whatever for the longest time. Like she always picks on these smaller PlayStation or Sony games And that's just kind of thing he's kind of seems to be obsessed with for a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously he talks about all the other ones, but Astrobot seemed the one that lasted the longest. And he that seemed the one he was mostly like retweeting or replying when people said, no, this is great.
Yeah.
And seemed to be really happy about it.
And it's one of those, like, I kind of highly doubt that Sony had like crazy expectations for sales. So like I have to imagine it like was at least around what they expected, and then the critical response has to have been better than they ever could have imagined.
I mean, again, like we said, it was a 20-man team and they worked on it for like a year and a half, I think, maybe a little more. But
it's like, how did that game have such a good soundtrack too?
Yeah,
it's crazy. Everything is good. Like that cave song, Like I probably I listened to a bunch of video game soundtracks. I should be listening to that one too. I kind of just have forgotten about it, but it was so damn good.
No, like, yeah, I'm really happy with this list. There are a lot of different things going on between. There's a multiplayer game in here. There's a lot of different things as far as cinematic stuff, some stuff with gunplay, some kind of more chill puzzle things, some more high action stuff, some kind of like cute little things like Moss or whatever, and then obviously 3D platformer, some horror stuff like Resident Evil, which is a full game. Like it's so good in VR.
Yeah, I think this is like, this definitely shows that even though like VR is not talked about a bunch and it kind of like moves along in the background, these are 10 really good games that you can find here. I mean, that's I think that's definitely comforting and something that wouldn't have been the case a few years ago, but.
No, I mean, I think there was, I can't remember when it was, but there was a point where I was able to like say to you confidently that I can make a list of 10 VR games. Like, no, these are legitimately good games without having stuff like, as much as I enjoy it, the Batman Arkham thing.
Yeah.
Because that's just an experience, which is kind of bare bones. It was really cool, but
yeah,
it's not a game like I would say all these are. No, Psychonauts is kind of comparable to that, but I think it did it a lot better.
Oh, the fact that there's even like there's games like Accounting Plus that I know that you legit.
Oh, I forgot about Accounting Plus. I was trying to look through it.
I was about to say like there's games like Accounting Plus that you really like and it didn't even make it on here, but I guess you forgot about it.
Blood and Truth. Probably because I'm not done with that game, but I really do think Blood and Truth will be up there higher once I am done with the game. And same thing with Trevor. Trevor also reviewed very well, and I think that game's going to be a really good thing. But I think I've seen pretty much it's just a flat 5 hours. I think that's good for that kind of game. If the humor doesn't ruin stale. And when Accounting Plus, I'll just talk about that for a minute. This short little experience where it's kind of a funny thing. It is the kind of point and click thing, but it is it is from Justin Roiland, like Trover. Hey, Rick and Morty, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
But it's a fun little thing little comedy thing. They kept on adding stuff to it, which was cool, and it kind of had a little lore around it. And then they made a level that kind of talked about the lore and how crazy it was and all that. It's like, this is a fun time.
Nice.
So it's a lot of cool VR stuff that even the simple stuff can be fun and different.
Yeah, well, that's it. We finally did it. We did our VR main topic, and now we did an episode of a podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you go over and go ahead and subscribe to twitch.tv/nerds@largegaming and prepare for us to let loose the goose. It's going to be a fun time. And check out our Nerds at Large Spoilercast podcast feed because we should have a BoJack Horseman part 1 of the season 6 Spoilercast soon as I finish it. I'm only 2 episodes in right now.
Slacker.
Yeah. And then Rise of Skywalker's coming soon. Hopefully I can find someone to do a Spoilercast with me on that.
You'll probably get Will or someone.
Will or Jacob.
And you can also do The Mandalorian.
I'll also do The Mandalorian. So maybe that. I'm not committing to The Mandalorian as far as Spoilercast, but at least The Last Jedi. Or not The Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker. Why is it called Rise of Skywalker? I guess we'll have to find out.
There is no reason. They just wanted to put Skywalker in the name.
I guess maybe so.
And also look forward to our Pokemon Nuzlocke starting this week.
Hell yeah.
Gurky boys.
Boy.
So excited.
Yeah, and just stay on our Twitter, which is at Nerds at Large, for updates on we're gonna start trying to do like a normal streaming schedule and all that jazz. So just follow us there.
Probably be 9 Eastern time. Starting most likely.
Go pet a dog and tell him/her that they are a good boy/girl.
Yeah.